This is Cynical But, having a look at pharmaceutical corporations. Well, you can call me cynical if you'd like to, but multinational pharmaceutical companies really exist to make you and me healthier, happier people, constantly developing wonderful remedies for all our ills. Curing the common cold, eliminating cancer, or curing eczema, or asthma, or Alzheimer's, or any of the autoimmune diseases inflicting so many people. Apart from antibiotics, what pharmaceutical products actually cure anything? Certainly none of those previously mentioned will ever be eliminated. They can sometimes be mitigated or alleviate some of the symptoms, but the pharmaceuticals never seem to cure anything. There's no money in it. The cash cow has always been perpetual chronic illness. Take 1 or 10 pills a day for the rest of your life, hopefully. Now they make a fortune from selling vaccines every year, either to individuals or to governments. Apparently you can even vaccinate yourself against gullibility now. Immune systems evolved, I believe, through an organism's exposure to disease. It's combating that disease. It kind of remembers how to do it and passes that information on to its offspring. Those with efficient immune systems were more likely to survive to pass on their genes. How can we have a strong and effective immune system if it never has to work hard? It always pissed me off as a kid that I was told not to drink from rivers and puddles. It would make me ill. My dog could drink from streams, puddles, swamps and even toilets without a problem. Now, surely we ought to be able to drink the same water. We're similar biological organisms. When did we lose the ability to drink fresh water from a stream? When we pissed in it, I suppose. These pharmaceutical corporations exist for the sole purpose of making a profit. It's like an iPhone. They want you constantly upgrading, expanding, or updating your meds. Then, if you can afford it or are important enough to your employer, they encourage you to go private because you deserve better than those NHS scum. What a way to undermine the NHS, private bloody medicine. You have to go and have a checkup. They look for medical problems in places you didn't know you had. Doctors are gagging to get their fingers up your arse, violating your rectal dignity. I do know of this. My friend told me all about it. He was talking about it months later and trying to persuade me to have it done. I'm aware that there are genuine medical reasons for this practice to be widespread. Sorry about the pun. If you're one of those people whose life has been saved by a timely anal probing, then I am truly pleased that you allowed it. I'm certainly not saying I'm right all the time. But personally, if I feel okay, I don't go to the doctor. Let sleeping bugs lie. According to Bruce Lipton in his book, The Biology of Belief, he explains how epigenetics influences our health. So much of our health depends on how well you perceive yourself to be. If you are told you are ill and you believe that prognosis, you will become ill. Our subconscious has a massive effect on our well-being. It can kill or it can cure. So much of our health is about belief. From placebos to evil eyes, our beliefs become our experiences. I know what I'm saying goes against much medical advice. If you think you may be ill, then you should definitely get yourself checked by a professional. But there's a massive industry out there that really needs you to be unwell. They only profit from the sick. There are so many cancer charities out there now, and an awful lot of well-paid people working in that industry, in both the medical field and for the charities for themselves, as executives, directors, researchers, fundraisers, etc. Call me cynical, but why are there more and more people each and every year developing that wicked disease? What causes it? Why isn't that being researched? Rather than researching cures, research some causes. It seems like that for every cancer they put into remission, they recommission a new one. I know it's a controversial opinion, but according to Linus Pauling, Nobel laureate in 1986, he says, everyone should know that most cancer research is largely a fraud. And he goes on, we've lost the war on cancer. At the beginning of the last century, 1 person in 20 would get it. In the 1940s, it was 1 out of every 16. In the 1970s, it was 1 person out of every 10. Today, 1 person out of 3 gets cancer in the course of their life. The cancer industry is probably the most prosperous business in the United States. In 2014, there was an estimated 1,665,000 new cancer cases diagnosed and 585,000 cancer deaths in the US. $6 billion of taxpayer funds are cycled through various federal agencies for cancer research, such as the National Cancer Institute. The National Cancer Institute states that the medical costs of cancer care are $125 billion, with a projected 39% increase to $173 billion by 2020. The simple fact is that the cancer industry employs too many people and produces too much income to allow a cure to be found. All of the current research on cancer drugs is based on the premise that the cancer market will grow, not shrink. Part of the problem appears to be that your GP only ever treats effects. Seldom does he or she look for causes. They address the symptoms, nothing more. It's not the GP's fault. They're only practicing what they've been taught. They're under tremendous pressure from Big Pharma and the government. I suspect the root cause of all diseases is known to those at the top of the medical tree. But if it ever became common knowledge that most illness is the body's response to toxins, stress, diet, and a lack of exercise, we might decide to change the way we live. Pollution in the air and water, bad diet, pesticide-infested food, unhealthy electromagnetic frequencies, and damage to our mental health are some of the more harmful agencies assaulting our immune system on a daily basis. Here, try this, and if it doesn't work, come back and see me in a week. Familiar? Certainly in the UK, so much useless medicine is being prescribed and consumed. How much damage is caused by inappropriately prescribed medication? And as for the pills for depression, I'm not a doctor, but what the fuck? Do they really cure anything? I don't think so. They're a revenue stream. In fact, they may cause more harm than good. According to the North Wales Department of Psychological Medicine, Prozac can make even healthy people suicidal. And that's just the tip of the iceberg that our titanic mental health industry is heading towards. Judging by the number of pills prescribed and the number of people with mental health issues, life has never been so difficult. What did people do in the past before happy pills and suicide? How did your great-grandparents cope? Yeah, they probably drank heavily, smoked heavily and took laudanum. Apart from the trauma-based and genetic mental health issues that people have to overcome, I feel that many of our psychological problems derive from the state of cognitive dissonance into which we've been placed by the absurd contradictions of life. The paradoxes we have to live with are overwhelming and they damage our mental well-being. Sometimes we take drink or drugs or we gamble or exhibit other self-destructive behaviours as a response to the madness of it all. You can't make this shit go away by taking pills or drinking too much. The best you can do is temporarily numb the pain. You can talk to a counsellor. I guess they sometimes might do some good. To put a dark spin on it, I've never heard of anyone kill themselves who hadn't talked to a counsellor first. Sorry to go there, but I'm being cynical. Life can be very hard and many of us experience great difficulties in our life. Sadness and misery are real, but we all need love, understanding and patience, and also time to absorb our lessons. Not mind-numbing drugs. They're just trying to turn you into pharma zombie junkies. But that's okay because you get your drugs from a professional who's been to university and is therefore qualified. You never know, it might help. Thank you, Cynical Butt, saying cheerio. Sorry if I'm a bit depressing there, but cynical bastard.